All right. Thank you all so much for joining us this morning. I know these are very busy times and we all have so much to do amazingly within the construct of what we're all having to go through. I think I'd like to start off by saying that these are indeed very interesting and exciting times. It's in the midst of challenges that opportunities lie. And the more we are able to discuss and explore the nuances of the environment, the more we believe that we'll be able to better prepare ourselves as well as be able to tap the opportunities that it presents. I think of these times in a very resourceful way. And I think about it that we're actually quite lucky that at no other time in recent history do we find a situation where we're facing two tectonic shifts in our business and even in our lives. As much as probably 9-10 months ago, the priority for most people was how to deal with the fourth industrial revolution and the changes that technology is bringing into how we work and how we live and how we communicate. A few months down the line, now we have an accelerator in the form of the COVID pandemic that has forced and really leapfrogged things that would have probably taken 2-3 years to come to bear in coming into life within the space of weeks. And we recall back in Q1 when many companies had to immediately transition from in-office and physical offices to telecommuting employees using remote devices to communicate and work. This, of course, opened up a plethora of opportunities for both getting effectiveness and efficiency into our work streams, but also created vulnerabilities. And now, more and more people that were probably not even within the digital realm are finding themselves having to come into the digital space to look for how to serve their customers and sustain their supply chains, and at the same time, support employees working from home with numerous devices connecting remotely. It underscores some of the statements that we've always said for years, saying that we're all interconnected. Well, right now, we all truly are interconnected. And as well as saying that, you know, we thrive on adversity, I think that the way businesses have been able to respond and how we've all been able to carry on in the face of all that has happened around us is a testament to that. So this morning, we want to focus on how do we sustain business continuity in the face of the pandemic, and how do we keep information, which is critical to carrying on business, moving along in a safe, secure, and effective manner during these times. I think that as businesses change strategies and build up new capabilities, as well as divert budgets and spending to things that hitherto were not on the card, on the top burner. Nowadays, we're talking around things to do with cyber security, cyber resilience, and indeed, how can we keep ourselves protected when we're also connected and every point is a connection to just the next. I think we are fortunate this morning to have speakers, professionals from 3 eminent institutions who are leaders in the diverse sectors in this field of technology and the cyber and digital space. I think it will be a rewarding time for all of us, and I'm particularly excited to learn from these eminent speakers this morning. So you're all welcome, and thank you very much for joining us. Olga, over to you.
Hello, Femi. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much for your welcome remarks. And thank you for joining us. But we noticed while we were, talking about how to communicate and discuss with us. So I'm going to repeat that again. If you have questions during the presentation, please write it down on the question and answer section of this window of this application. The questions will be attended to right after all presentations. Thank you very much, Femi, and thank you for your time. So we would like to start, and I would like to call on the first speaker. Our first speaker is, I would like to introduce him, Mr. Bharat Soni. Bharat Soni is the Chief Information Security Officer and Group Head Information Security of the Guaranteed Trust Bank. But before he starts his presentation, I would like to give a brief info about him. Bharat is a result-oriented seasoned information cybersecurity and risk management professional with experience of 21 years and with strong acumen in implementation of governance, risk, and compliance in complex environments. His experience also includes recommending and managing cost-effective, strategy and mutually beneficial business solution, program management, policy framework, and motivating high-performance team. His working experience includes media house, software, IT consulting, and banking. Bharat he will be presenting on securing your organization during the pandemic. I would like to hand over to him now. Bharat, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for this introduction, Guchuku. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I will start with saying thanks to CSCS for having this particular event because, as Femi mentioned, that these are some difficult times. We have to face it, and then from these difficult times, once we face it, we'll see how we can even move further to overcome the challenges and move ahead into our new era of technology enabled lifestyles, technology enabled. So everything becomes like, when we talk about IoTs, not even few years back, but just even few months back, those are getting into the right scenarios these days. So schools, universities, offices, everything is now online. So we need to see how we can overcome these challenges and then move ahead for our better future also for this thing. So let me share my screen. I hope this is visible.
Yes, it's visible. You are visible.
Okay. So as the topic says, that we have how during this pandemic we are going to secure our organization. So few months back, when nobody was even thinking through that the remote work will be so important, and then people were targeting how to secure the organizations. Now we have to move a level ahead of not only securing the organizations, but also to secure the individual and end users. End users few months back was only the organization staff, whom we'll treat always as a endpoint or the end user security. But now with this remote work, or I would say we were saying that work from home, but I would say that it's not it's work from anywhere. So the work from home is now even changed to work from anywhere at your comfort, whether you are sitting in home or whether you are sitting on a beach. But the thing is, the work should be finished. The work has to be completed because of the connectivity, and obviously we need to strive towards achieving things. But what are the risks associated to it? We'll see during the presentation that what we have seen so far during the pandemic, still going on with these pandemic issues, how these things we can secure into an organizational perspective, and what are the takeaways. So for me, I would say that let me also learn from all the panelists and all the attendees. If you have any questions, please let me also know your thought processes and how we can combinedly share our thoughts and move ahead. So what has the pandemic, the impact of the pandemic overall pandemic issues has resulted into few things which we can look into. Our remote work activities has increased, which I just mentioned. Electronic payment systems, every organization is looking for getting IT enabled. As a banking industry, we want our users or our customers to have it on move on electronic payment system. So we are also striving towards making it a robust and a secure environment. And obviously the world, because work from anywhere is happening, we need to move towards the cloud storage and the application. SaaS, PaaS, everywhere we are moving towards cloud, whatever is critical, non-critical. We have to define those things, and we need to move into an environment where it can be accessible anywhere, anytime. Let's look at some of the statistics during this, and this is just for last, I would say, 6 months. 800% increase in cyber crimes, and this is from FBI reporting. We have seen 238% cyber attacks against the banking industry, and this is linked to only COVID-19 attacks, like since February till this time. We also seen that apart from looking into compromising the organizations from a financial perspective, the health sector is also getting a bigger hit, because that's where the data is. And now we'll look into the other risks, like for example, the data is now the biggest risk from a GDPR perspective. And if we talk about locally, our NDPR perspective, because there are sanctions attached to it. So that against dovetail itself towards a criminal mental set or malicious usage of the data. We have seen by Google, a report from Google, that 18 million malware and phishing emails were blocked by Google just in April 2020. So that's the level of impact on cybersecurity, and hackers or the malicious users are taking advantage of these situations. What kind of popular attacks we have seen so far? We have seen online phishing scams. We all know that phishing has been increased. The level of emails which every organization, whether financial, non-financial, we have been hit heavily. If we are not been protected, obviously we have malwares and phishing emails infiltrating into the environment. We have ransomware attacks and obviously DDoS attacks. One of the very big riskiest scenario, I would say that it's like it's coming up very heavily, is the malware attacks which is happening now. We have data harvesting malwares. Now, as I mentioned in my earlier slide, that the data is one of the key things. So people are using the data or the malwares. Once we are infiltrated into the organization, no more financial gain is the ultimate thing, but the modus operandi, or how the way financial gains will happen, is the way they were looking to harvest the data. We have malicious domains. If we have websites and platforms which are been infected by malware, which then capture the data from the actual site or lure the user to go into another website. So this is also happening a bit large. We all are aware about what happened to the Twitter. Most of us maybe on Twitter are having some followers, or we are following something else on Twitter. But you see the impact of getting too much into social things. And if we are very careless about our even social presence or the digital presence of ours, what can result? We are aware about those Twitter hacks, where 130 high profile Twitter accounts, including Bill Gates, Apple CEO, and in the line were been hacked. Their accounts were been hacked within few minutes of their compromise attack, and the message was sent that I will double your money, please transfer into this Bitcoin account. Within few minutes, by the time it was been detected and all those accounts were been closed, $110,000 were been transferred to the Bitcoin, and it's just a sample of within minutes. And 45 accounts were tweeted to promote the Bitcoin scam. So you can just see the impact of social. Then another case of business email compromise thing, Norfund, which is a Norwegian state-owned private equity fund. $10 million were eventually transferred to fraudulent account, set up with the same account name as the real account holder. Now you can imagine that if I'm doing all these things, that means I'm already having a presence into the environment. I am doing a reconnaissance of the activities, how things are working, and I'm very well aware of the process, what is happening into the environment. And this can be a result of compromise into the organization through a remote worker. So the risk is now moving to not only to secure the organization, but moving towards the end users who are remotely working. 45 days have been elapsed when the theft occurred, and it was not even detected, plus 245 plus days. So just imagine if we are not very well, so whatever technology we put, if we are not configuring it properly, the technology is of no use. The investment or the ROI, return on my investment, is not even realized if my configuration or the users who are using the or who are configuring the technology are not even aware about how to make effective utilization of things. We have seen Honda automobile customer services phishing. We have also heard about Tesla's compromise, where an employee was been offered $1 million, but the employee rejected it and hence complained to FBI. And it was been thought the attack was been not actually been materialized. But yes, these are the different threats which you also need to see, because now concentration is moving from organizational infiltration to an individual infiltration. Let's look into our own home ground. We have seen phishing emails from the financial institution. I can show you from GT Bank, from other banks, Axis Bank, UBA, and these are the email frauds which we are receiving day in, day out. Customers are complaining. Customers are saying that, okay, this is coming from GT Bank or not, or any other bank, or UBA or Axis Bank, whatever. The thing is, not a single point of access is secured. People are getting compromised. So what we can do around this thing, when we are still struggling to invest, obviously most of us will find it difficult when we go to our senior management and say that, okay, I want to implement this solution, I want to implement that solution. The response, obviously, that what we can do in a fixed budget. So we need to also not only look into the security perspective, but we also, as a business partner, I would say, from an information security domain, we also need to look into how we can squeeze into the budget to have a more security effectiveness into the organization, what we can do around it, what is required. Let's see those factors which are required for a remote work and how we can achieve those things. Multi-factor authentication. If many of the organizations still think that even VPN is secured enough, please, there are new threats which are coming into the picture. The VPN is not a secured medium any which ways, unless the whole endpoint is secured. If we are using VPN to connect, you can see, and I can tell you the endpoint, and it's a practical scenario. We have seen user is sitting in Nigeria, and we have observed that the IPs are coming from different other countries. That means the system is already compromised. The username password which the user is coming is already compromised. So if we don't know what we are trying to tackle or what we are trying to measure against things, we will never be able to get into things. We'll sit quietly into our offices or maybe into our home and think that VPNs are secured. Once I'm on a VPN, my username password is sufficient enough. Multi-factor authentication is required. VPNs are required. We have to have continuous monitoring. As I mentioned earlier, when we talk about monitoring, we should always be conscious enough that what we are monitoring and what kind of risks are present happening in the global scenario. So monitoring should be very effective. What we want to monitor, what we can achieve with what is present, or how we can improvise on the present situations and scenarios. Security awareness, one of the very big key factor, I would say, is awareness to your staff members, to your senior management guys, to even your customers as an organization, whichever, and even your third parties. Third party is another area of biggest risk these days. As I mentioned, not only the focus from organizations is moving to those loopholes which are directly or indirectly connected and authorized to connect to any organization. So security awareness is a very key issue, and everyone has to focus onto this thing very on a day-to-day basis. How all this risk, what we have discussed. So when we talk about the risk, what we can do around those things, how we can protect our organizations. Basics. Let's look at the basics first. Configuration reviews. With the changing dynamics, if we have not properly configured our existing systems, obviously it will create loopholes into the system, because the dynamics of the environments are changing day by day. The scenarios how to connect to an organization is changing. So let's go back to the basics, check our security configuration of infrastructure, whether the configuration is still relevant. We'll say that we need to even have more secured configuration than before, because the way we are connecting to the infrastructure, organization infrastructure is changing. So we have to also adopt into an agile manner. If anything happens into the global scenario, how does it be impacted from a configuration review? How we can do the updates and patching of the system on a very regular basis. It's highly important, because every day we heard that almost thousands of zero-day attacks are happening. So when we talk about zero-day attack, if the systems are not updated and patched, the older versions will still be hampering the configuration part. Even if I'm configured properly, but my updates and patches are not been done, that means the configuration is still porous to attacks. We have to have a data loss prevention implemented into the organization. Now, when we talk about data loss prevention, we have always seen that in the organization, the pen drives or the USB access has been disabled, emails are been in a controlled manner. When we talk about work from remote working things, we obviously have seen many changes into the environment. The user is bringing their own devices on which the end user has a control. We cannot even control sitting into the office to a large extent to those controls placed on the user, unless we have an MDM solution. So data is again the key. Prevent the data. IRM, information right management solution, is one of the things which I always recommend to have it. We have cyber intelligence sharing. Obviously, what I have seen into my environment should be maybe impacted from any other environment. I got the information. I have to also effectively share the information that this is what is happening. This can be done maybe on through internet, where we have to have some subscription, or else within the community. Like for example, within the banking industry, we have our own forum, so that we share information with each other, and that enable us to be to take steps to more secure the organizations. As I earlier mentioned, third-party management risk. Third parties are one of the biggest risks these days. We have to be very careful with whom we are connected, what kind of privileges we are giving to them. Is there a direct connectivity? What kind of controls on the third-party organizations are being kept? Can we do an audit, and can we get an assurance that those are secured? Also, the security testing and assessment has to be carried out, and it should be a regular practice. You have to have security testing and assessment as a final leg into your change management process. Any changes you carry out has to go through a security testing and a quality assurance thing. Apart from user acceptance testing, you also need to carry out a security testing, so that you will ensure that this particular change is not impacting on any of the existing secure procedures. So I believe that's all from my side. I think I was able to justify the topic and give some of the thought process to be changed, and let's see how it goes. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Bharat. Thank you for such an amazing presentation. So, I would like to speak to our attendees again. All presentation slides and of course the recordings of this webinar will be available. We'll be posting it on our website, www.cscs.ng. The link will be active for 3 days. Once again, thank you, Bharat, for your time, and thank you for joining us. I would like to remind us that you can ask your questions. Go to our Q&A session, and we'll pick it right after all the presentation. Thank you. So I would like to call on the second speaker, Mr. Ikechukwu Ugoji. Mr. Ikechukwu, but before he starts, I would like to give a brief intro. I would like to introduce him. Mr. Ikechukwu is the Chief Information Security Officer for InterSwitch Limited. Mr. Ugoji started his career as a business development specialist in 2004 with the Guarantee Trust Bank. In 2009, he joined the bank's information system audit team. He later joined the team that built the information security team in Guarantee Trust Bank. By 2012, he became the head of information security governance and strategy in the bank. Before he left the bank, he was the head information risk management officer. Mr. Ikechukwu Ugoju will be speaking on implementing an effective security awareness program. Mr. Ikechukwu, thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know if you can see my screen.
Yes, you can.
Okay. Is it on slideshow or?
No, it's not. It's not on slideshow yet.
I'm trying to get on slideshow. Good. It's on slideshow now, right? Okay. I'm not able
Yes.
to turn on my video.
Okay.
I'm not able to turn on my video.
Okay. But we can hear you. No problem.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you
fine.
very
Let's
much.
go there. Thank you very much. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you very much, Bharat, for the lovely presentation. I guess you've set the tone for what my presentation. Bharat spoke a lot about the importance of security awareness to as a solution to address some of the risks we're facing, particularly during this pandemic. So in the next 20 minutes, I'll be talking about setting up an effective cybersecurity awareness program, what you need to do, and things you need to do to make it effective, and the importance of that as well. Okay, to set the background, we have over 90% of cyber breaches today are facilitated by phishing emails or some form of social engineering attack. So hackers have found out that phishing emails, one of the easiest way for them to breach an email today is to send phishing emails out, and they found that the success rate is as high as 30% emails are opened. From a very Verizon report shows that 30% of the emails are opened, and about 12% of those emails are also, the links in those emails and attachments are clicked. So it's been very effective for them, particularly during this pandemic. And every employee we have today is a frontline defender against incoming threats. The employees are the ones that man the workstations at the remote corners of wherever they're working from today. The perimeters of every organization has now been extended to where the employees are, where those workstations that are connected to this organization is today. So the danger comes unexpectedly. So the difficult thing about, challenging thing about security is we don't know when the attackers will attack us. We don't know the time, we don't know the date, and they come at any point in time, and we don't know who they'll be attacking. So everyone has to be on guard every time. And then one other aspect of security when it comes to humans are, because we are human beings, we're influenced by our state of mind, our health, our environment, and of course our attitude towards issues. So all these influence how we respond to threats or cybercriminal threats posed against the staff, the employees. COVID-19 hasn't helped in any way at all, because now more people are working from home in an environment where they're not used to. And then we have people are working from their personal devices, BYOD, or corporate owned devices, and they spend more time at home than in the office that's connected. And then there's also necessitated some increased spend in security awareness, trying to get all the employees up to date. Cybersecurity awareness is also a very key component of most security standards. PCI DSS has a requirement that addresses cybersecurity awareness, and ISO 27001 has a requirement for cybersecurity awareness and many other standards as well. So normally we would say employees are the weakest link, but I'd rather say they are the part of the solution to our problem today, because typically every security team in an organization would be say 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, and then you have over 500 staff, 1,000 staff on the size of the organization. So, and these attackers know best to prey on the non-IT staff. So the phishing emails go out to everybody, IT and non-IT staff, InfoSec and non-InfoSec staff. So it's very, very important that you empower all the staff to be able to detect, respond, and recover from security threats. So it's good to educate them, and that's the whole importance of cybersecurity awareness. So an effective cybersecurity awareness program, the requirements. First, very, very important is that there should be leadership support. So they have to be first approved by the management, and there has to be support from the leadership, all the way from the board down to the management of the company. Second, also, there has to be budget. So you have to make provision for the tools you need. You have to make provision for the training environment. And you also have to make provision for the staff, the trained, talented InfoSec staff that will drive the awareness program, that will implement the awareness program. And then you also need teamwork. You need cooperation from the various business units, from HR in terms of hiring the right resources, in terms of driving the awareness, sending out the awareness, driving the compliance sanction behind it, and organizing. And also you also need your corporate and branding team to help you do the graphics and the design of your awareness program. You need the to help you engage the various vendors when it comes to getting the necessary tools you need. And of course, you need a business also to emphasize the need and to also talk to their direct reports and participating in the awareness programs, be it classroom or online. Again, you also need a security team. You also need a security team who are very passionate and experienced in information security to drive the security awareness program. And then you need the security solutions /platform. You need a platform. Today, to drive your awareness online, you need solutions. You need security solutions that will help you push out the emails, organize online classes, the desktop screensavers, the desktop backgrounds and all. And then of course you need your security policies. You need your security policies that emphasizes what the user needs to do, the importance of security awareness in the organization, and of course the requirements for the organization, for the staff to participate in the awareness program. So we'll talk about the key features of security awareness, what you expect in a proper cybersecurity program. So first is cybersecurity program, you have to emphasize, it's important to emphasize the frequency, meaning how often would you be engaging the staff on security awareness. So people would say, because human beings naturally would forget, they'll be affected by the environment, you need to reinforce. So the whole idea is to keep reinforcing the importance of security awareness, reinforcing those habits, those sharing with them, those tips and things they need to do to stay safe. So it's very important that it's frequent, daily, weekly, monthly. So for daily, you can have things like desktop screensavers that come up on their screen daily, and then you have to keep changing it out. You can have backgrounds on their laptops. You can have lunchroom posters where they congregate for lunch. If you have it's an organization that has a lunchroom in-house, on-prem, you can have a lunchroom poster that re-emphasize security awareness information you want to pass on to them, and you keep changing the out quarterly, monthly, the frequency. You can also put them in meeting rooms. You can also put them as part of your background when you're having your online meetings as well. So the frequency is very, very important. And it's very also important is the content. So people have different learning styles. So it's also good you ensure that your security awareness content is not boring, particularly if it's online and self-paced. So you also have to look at, sometimes I find that case studies are very, very effective. You try to role play the situation, let the employees see how it plays out, and then you also have questions, quiz. The quiz sessions are also an opportunity for employees to think through the learning experience and then try and then participate more in the exercise. And they also it's also good to have jingles as well. Jingles are very good way. I've seen people put jingles in their shop floors, banking halls, just to emphasize the security awareness things, particularly to customers that come in and to the staff. And it's also good to make the security awareness fun. You put cartoons in there so some people find it more engaging and entertaining when they have cartoon characters and all that. But the underlying message is also equally passed. And then lovely infographics also that speak to the situation. And then the engagement platform is also important. So today you can use emails. You can push the awareness via emails where they can meet the staff. You can also use the learning portal. Some organizations have learning portals where the HR administers other learning initiatives. You can also lash onto that and deliver your security awareness via the learning portal. Again, I mentioned using the wall posters and the lunchrooms and strategic places in the organization. And then you use screensavers and ringtones as well. I've seen some organizations use ringtones as well to emphasize security awareness, particularly to customers and also the internal telecom systems. Again, security awareness program also you have to identify the target. So who are your targets? So security awareness, like the paradigm in security is that it's everybody's responsibility, all the way from the boardroom to the basement. these days we've seen hackers targeting C-level executives. They call it whaling. That's some form of phishing targeted at C-level executives, spear phishing targeted at C-level executives. So you have to engage differently, have your target audience. Your target audience has to cut across the board members, management, staff, third party that interface in the environment, customers, and business partners. Because all these people, like Bharat mentioned, third party risk is an area you should look at. You also ensure your security awareness covers those, because those can introduce risk to you. And there's been cyber breach incidents where a organization are breached because phishing emails were sent to partners, and the partners were hacked, and the organization got hacked. It's also important that you ensure the reach and your security program targets those set of people as well. Then you also have to have a metrics for measuring the effectiveness of your security awareness program. So it's one thing to do your security awareness program daily, weekly, and all that. If you don't periodically test how effective it's been or know how well you're doing, then the day of reckoning will be when you get that real phishing email, and then one or two staff click, and then you have some security in your hand, then you know if you've been effective or not. So periodically, it's also good to, very, very important in your cybersecurity awareness program is to include phishing simulation. So the phishing simulation is basically sending out those phishing emails, controlled phishing emails, but trying to make it look as real as possible as the real phishing email would go to your staff, and then measure the number of people that opened the mail, number of people that clicked on the link or the attachment, and then reinforce those learning opportunities. And by enrolling those that have failed phishing test, enroll them for security awareness, targeted security awareness that addresses those scenarios as well. And then you also try to convert them to champions as well. Again, people that failed the phishing test, you try not to victimize them, try to encourage them, try to let them know where they have failed and encourage them to do better next time. Quiz is also very important. You do periodic quiz to gauge people's level of understanding of what has been taught in the security awareness and various engagements. And also important is the feedback survey, where you send out feedback to people to see how they are taking the awareness, what improvements they would like to see, how interesting the content is. And you try different content and what. You should also take note of attendance registers for online awareness programs, classroom programs. Take attendance and see the level of attendance. That will give you an idea of how effective your program has been as well, because again, they have to be there to hear. If they're not there, they will not be able to receive those security tips or updates that's being shared. And then equally important is also reporting back to management on how effective the program has been. So you have to have a program, you have to have a mechanism for reporting back to management on a monthly or quarterly basis. And also have to make sure that the reporting is also stratified. So you want to report back to management on the result of the phishing simulation, the result of the security awareness program online, how many people participated, how the participation cuts across various groups and business division and staff data. You want to see that, it'd be nice to see that all board members are attending the training, all management members are attending the training. It'd be nice to see which cadre of staff you find lagging, and then that will also inform your awareness program, where you target the next awareness program. So at this point, so it only takes one careless employee to roll out the carpets for hackers and scammers. So we're only as strong as our weakest link. Every staff out there, it's very, very important that you educate them. Very, very important that you enlighten them on what to do. Keep them informed of the various ways that attackers can come, so that when they get that phishing email, when they get that threat, they'll be able to report. It's also important that the awareness program also highlights on how people should report phishing email or threats on their desks, so that the security team can respond quickly and be able to diffuse the threat before it escalates to something more than the organization can handle. So at this point, that brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ikechukwu. As he said at the end of his presentation, everyone has a part to play. Thank you very much. Okay, before I announce the last speaker, we have something, CSCS has planned something for everyone, all the attendees. We'll be launching out a quiz at the end of the Q&A session for all participants. You're expected to answer, but however, the winner is going to be the fastest, fastest finger. So we're going to pick 2 winners. But the questions will come after the last presentation. So finally, I would like to call on our last speaker, Mr. Tobe Nadoze. Before he starts, of course, I would like to introduce him again. Mr. Tobe Nadoze is the Divisional Head, Technology and Innovation at CSCS PLC. Tobe is a seasoned innovation specialist, entrepreneur, and a digital technology expert. His 20 years experience across multiple industry sectors, which includes banking, insurance, oil and gas, and of course the capital markets. He was the Chief Information Officer / Group Head, Technology and E-Banking for GT, Guarantee Trust Assurance, now known as Answer Mansard. He was the head of e-business, divisional head of innovation and products in Heritage Bank Limited. Before his appointment here at CSCS, he was the group chief information officer at WAPIC. Tobe will be speaking and presenting on the cyber vigilance, the easiest but most potent cybersecurity tool. Tobe.
Thank you very much.
Hello, Tobe.
Yeah, thank you. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can. Thank you very much.
Good morning. So it's a great privilege. I am glad to be here to speak to you today. And I'll be speaking basically on cyber vigilance, the easiest but the most potent cyber security tool. And I think the first 2 speakers have made my job pretty easy with the introductions which they have brought into the presentation. So basically what I'll be doing is to try and wrap up on what they have done and give my own thoughts about some of the things which we have here. So I'll be speaking on the topic looking. Yes, please.
Hello, Tobe. Sorry, your presentation went off.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Is it back up now? Is it back up now?
No, it's not.
Just a second, please. Okay, it should be back up now. Thank you. So I'll take you through the journey, and on this journey, we'll look at the following things. We'll talk, locally in the country, whenever you say first of all, you always wrap it up by saying introduction. So I'll do some intros. After the intro, we'll look at some facts about cyber security. Then we'll look at the foundation of some of the challenges which we face as we talk about cyber security. Then I'll give you an idea of what I think is the fix for cyber security breaches, and we'll wrap it up by some conclusion. So let's start by looking at some foundation. The world is changing, and as we look at the changing world, it reminds me of when the going was good, when you could go to the beach and every one of you could just quickly start a football competition. But now we're not having such good times. And then with COVID now, because most times I think the challenge people have is they don't connect cyber security to what happens in the market. With what we are seeing in the market now, we've seen that with the exception of the subprime crash that happened around 2009, this COVID-19 shock is going to be the worst negative impact on GDP globally. These facts are from the United Nations. And also McKinsey estimates that job losses in the UK alone would be about 7.6 million people. I don't want to talk about US because there are a lot of political discussions about loss of jobs in the US. In Nigeria, Nigerian gross of Statistics estimates that about 79% of businesses were impacted heavily and negatively by COVID. And that figure begins to come to mind when we realize that 40 million SMEs exist in Nigeria, and majority of these people could not trade during COVID. So the new reality is COVID has affected our world, COVID has affected what we do, and life is changing. You know, I recall that before COVID, I was speaking at an IT security event, and I used this picture to depict a hacker. And guess what? I asked myself, why do people get involved in cybercrime? And in descending order, the reason why people get involved, I mean, the number of course, reports and statistics that show it is number one, people get involved in cybercrime for survival. They are looking for what to eat. Then security, stability, success, sabotage. Someone is disgruntled because he's been asked to leave a company. Scandals, someone just wants to bring scandal to an organization. Scorn, you know, some hackers just take pride in stating that I brought you down, respect me, and of course, for selfish reasons. But the major thing, as you look at every hacker which you see around, is survival. Most hackers are looking for how to survive. In our world of today, with the new COVID realities, the truth is that everyone is looking for how to survive. Look at this picture a little bit again, and let's look at the new world. Are we learning better from cyber criminals? That survival is the rule of the game. And to be able to survive, we need to be able to make certain things right. And as I talk about survival, the world has realized that surviving is an individual effort. Everyone needs to protect himself, but much more than that, make sure that the next person protects himself. It's in the survival of the individual that we can survive. And as we look at cybersecurity, most times we spend a whole lot, I'm going to show you some facts very soon, a whole lot of money on infrastructure, software, services. We forget that the rule of survival is about ensuring you are safe, and you also do your best to ensure the next man to you is safe. Why? Because we're in a hyper-connected There was a prediction that cybercrime will get to about 6 trillion by 2021. Now, that's a strange but hard
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Sorry, we had a little glitch. So as we look at the pre-COVID predictions about cybercrime, now these were the predictions when the going was good. Post-COVID, we should know that crime would increase massively. I'll quickly take us through some facts as we wrap up. Now, based on certain facts, these figures are from Premier Insurance, and a lot of industries are going to be hit by cybercrime. And the major industries, finance, healthcare, and retail business. And as we look at all this, a cybercrime magazine ran a survey. And the survey which they ran, they looked at where is cyber security compromise expected in the next 12 months. What is here clearly shows that compromise is a growing concern to everybody. And the fact shows that it's going to affect all sectors of our economy. But as we come back to looking at trends, Statistica brought out this that shows what people spend. As you look through all this, it's disappointing to note that organizations, while doing all they can, spend on cybersecurity is going to get to 124 billion by 2019. They are doing all they can to ensure that we have a more protected world. The challenge is beyond the technology, beyond the services and the infrastructure, what is the easiest route to cybercrime? Now, I've brought out a trend. If you look at these companies that were compromised at least once, you will find out that in 2017, we had a spike in companies that were compromised. In 2020, we have also started seeing that type of spike. For those who are involved in the cryptocurrency world, because most times when cybersecurity is breached and ransoms are to be paid, they are paid within this cryptocurrency world. You will begin to find out that what we experienced 2017, 2018 is also being experienced now. Based on the principle of supply and demand, I just needed us to see that this year and next year, we're going to have a huge spike in cybersecurity based on the simple principle of supply and demand. The price of crypto trends with expected income from crime, cybercrime. Now it's increasing again. And what that means is that every one of us should begin to watch out because cybercrime has started going up again. And of course, as it goes up, people are trying to mop up crypto to pay as ransoms, and the price will begin to spike up. So while you see the economic impact of crypto price changes, there is also the strange correlation with increase in cybercrime. I'm not going to dwell too much on this. People are paying a whole lot of ransoms due to cybercrime. So while you are busy doing every other thing, what should you really be busy at? Because while you are busy doing your work and spending your time, of course, the cyber criminal is also busy. I picked this up from EY, and this will begin to make us understand why cyber vigilance is a major thing to consider. The 10 most valuable information to a cyber criminal: number one, customer information. Number two, financial information. Number three, strategic plans. As you look through everything on the right-hand side, out of the 10 of them, 8 of them as a result, most times, of individual breach. That means someone not knowing what he or she needs to do. And because of that, there is a cyber crime. As you come to the right also, you will find out that cyber channels or cyber crime channels that will enable cyber criminals get things on the left-hand side are top 7 out of what we have here. So what this begins to tell us is no matter how much you spend on cyber security, let's forget the blame game. What are the major causes of cyber security? And why is it that people spend a whole lot of efforts, but the result is next to nothing? Attacks are mostly internal, and we need to start getting that one. 31% of the leading causes of data breaches and cyber threats is due to phishing or hacking. 24% is employee action or mistake. 14% is related to your vendor. 8% is related to an internal theft. 6% is related to negligence of employees in disposing technology or data-related components properly. Only 17% is majorly due to external factors. The easiest route, clearly, from this graph is that cyber attacks are through internal collusion. And no matter how much we spend on technology and the blame game, the major factor causing these cyber crime are breaches that are caused by the failure of people to know what to do. This graph also shows the same thing. Same trend from everybody is showing clearly that the leading cause of breaches is vigilance. Now, Microsoft, of course, which we all use, I will show certain things. They said that 63% of network intrusions as a result of compromised user passwords or username. No wonder cyber criminals will leverage on this. Now, I got tired of looking at the graphs out of fear, so I summarized a couple of things. Number one, phishing is the number one, we now call it cyber crime channels. Just like you have payment channels, we have cyber crime channels. Phishing is the number one in data breach. This by Verizon. Microsoft also increased, I think our first speaker spoke about this. After analyzing 470 billion email messages in 2018, they found out 250%, but the last set of figures are even more fearsome to release. Cisco says that 38% of malicious email attachments were from things that every user makes use of. Word, Excel, PowerPoint, archive files like zip and jar. This is also from Cisco. So by the time you add 37 and 38% together, you'll find out that 75% of breaches that are related to malicious attachments are from zip files or all these other forms of files. 82% of cloud users have experienced security breaches. 35% of companies were targeted by things that relate to what people should know, SSL or TLS-based attack. Now, where are these insiders? Number one, the highest group of people that cause insider crimes in organizations are employees, followed by privileged IT users. So where you don't put in place the right type of privileges for your internal IT users, no matter how important and useful they are to the organization, you can see they are one of the leading causes. Then service providers, temporary workers who come into our environment, privileged business users and executives, customers and clients. This shows clearly that insider damage in organizations as a result of cyber crime is majorly caused by people who we trust the most. Security is the work of every one of us. What we do quickly as I wrap up, to ensure that we begin to apply our cyber security budgets into the right things to do and cut off potential breaches. I've shown this, and I've said it's sad, that as you look through all this, you will not find awareness as part of the budget, what people are using. So this is the sad reality. Only 61% of companies have a real budget for security awareness globally. Now, this is from Infographics, Cybercrime Magazine, and PwC. The last line is from PwC. 7 out of 10 companies know that, the individual's knowledge, that's security awareness of cyber vigilance, is the right way to go. 7 out of 10 companies have conducted phishing experiments to gauge employee preparation. But guess what? Less than 1 continued with training to mitigate the things that showed up till the end. Out of a survey done by Infographics, 44% of companies are planning to spend more on security awareness, but 4 out of 5 top security breaches are often caused by negligence or lack of knowledge of people. Strangely, PwC also says that 48% of businesses don't even have an employee cybersecurity awareness training program at all. These are sad realities. Should we give up or do we keep going? No, we have to keep going. So what do? We need to make security awareness to be an integral part of the life of the family. Let it be the DNA of each organization. We need to get people involved. Don't just train people. Let people be a part of it. Also, IT security gigs should not be treated as, just IT security specialists should not be treated like gigs. Our first two speakers are IT security specialists. I imagine how people look at them. Oh, this one is trying to make my life uncomfortable and all that. No, they are normal people. We need to engage them and let them be engaged. We also need to be positive-minded. Change the story. I love what the second speaker said. He said, let's use what seems to be our greatest source of weakness to be our greatest solution. Also, there should be regular engagement. Don't stop. The cyber criminals, they are looking for ways. The black environment gets thicker, the red environment gets thicker and stronger every day. Don't give up. You need to make sure you look for ways to keep improving. Then to do that, make sure people are trained, put the right policies in place, but number one is about the people. Make sure also that you have the right processes, and importantly also, don't stop the technology deployment. Make sure you deploy the right technology. I think our second speaker has spoken clearly. Everyone needs to be involved, starting from the board, to executive management, to senior management, to supervisors, to team members. Everyone should be involved. And what I encourage us to do in our different organizations is we need to build a cybersecurity skill matrix and put these things in place and track them. The board should envision, should entrust, should empower, should execute. Management should deliberate, decide, direct, and disseminate. Now, finally, how do we measure before I wrap up? Number one, you measure whether you are successful in reducing, cybersecurity breaches due to cyber vigilance by how ready your organization is. And there are easy, things you can do to put this in place. Do a phishing campaign. Is it reducing or is it going up? How resilient is your organization? How fast do you restore services when things come down? Because sometimes you need to plan that. You need to know that a breach may occur that will bring you down. Your customers will want to listen to a denial of service. How flexible, how tenacious are you in restoring service? Then what is the reputation of your company, both in the ethical environment and the non-ethical hacking environment? You need to go and do that. Run tests that will show how thick your environment is believed to be. Then how are you reducing cyber crimes? Finally, let's make it fun, but let's make it real. If you see something, cyber vigilance is say something. Thank you very much for listening, and see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you very much for your presentation. It was very, very detailed with lots of data. Thank you very much. We all have our parts to play, as they all say. So everyone, we need to come together to protect our companies and of course ourselves. Let's make it fun. Are you all ready? Before we move into this question and answer session, are you ready for our quiz? We have prizes for the fastest finger too. I'm not going to measure the prize, but let's go to the poll now. Let's try and answer the questions. Thank you. Yes, keep it coming. We are looking at it. So while the quiz is still going on, I'm going to call up our three speakers. If you can all come up, please, while we prepare for the Q&A. Our three speakers. Please turn on your video if it's possible. Turn on your camera. Thank you very much. Tell him to stop sharing. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So I'll be going to the question and answer window. Um, this question is from Aisha. Now the new thing for hackers is using mobile phone to swipe, making it look as if the owner has misplaced his or her phone number, and then they get to your bank officer for one's BVN. How do you plan to stop? How do we stop this or curtail this? I believe the question should go to Bharat. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks for the questions and thanks for this lovely audiences. I would say that we have a committee. We call it as Committee of Chief Information Security Officer for Nigerian banking financial institution, and we actually discuss all these kind of issues in our monthly meetings. Where one of the resolutions to this thing is now NIBS has started a service where you can actually they are getting feeds from telcos. If a SIM swap happens, they will get the feed, and the banking organizations which are right now doing it, they will get an alert that this SIM swap is already has already been reported, and there is a service available from NIBS. So I believe subscribe to that service will help you in getting those feeds from the NIBS. Nigeria as a country is heavily looking into the SIM swap frauds. So that's why this initiative was been done between telcos and the financial institutions, and it's working right now. So there's a service available at NIBS for this thing for all financial institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharat. Aisha, I hope that answers the question. So I'll be picking the next question. This is from Dr. Chuki. Why do some financial institutions not reveal the cause of their downtime that is as a result of security breach to their employees/customers? But the news will be in the media outfit, and they may use it as a case study. So I guess you would like to know why the banking industry, some financial institutions don't reveal the real cause of the downtime. I guess the question again for you, Bara.
I think I have answered it into the Q&A section, but again, I want to repeat it. There are two sides of this thing. One is whether it actually happens or not. And the second thing, whether it's just a social media propaganda, because sometimes to defame an organization, you just need to, get the news viral. You just have something pulled onto any social media. And by the time the damage control has been taken into consideration, it's already viral on the social media. Social media is a good and a bad side. Both are over there. However, again, to answer it, it's not always that due to security breaches or any incident happen. Reason being, it may be a failure into the, for example, a link, and my services are not available. It can be an internal issue, maybe a database, what do you call, database has been crashed for the sake of discussion, or maybe a networking device is not working properly. Typically what happens is, once this happens, the news always get into the wrong level of understanding that, okay, the financial institution has been breached. However, there are multiple phases for an incident which can lead to service issues. Maybe internet banking is not available, maybe mobile banking is not available, maybe my mobile banking server is not available, but it will lead to news that because of some breach, this is happening. So it's I would not say that it's not happening, because regulators, in fact, CBN always drill down into the incidents from a financial regulatory perspective, and they will ask bank to provide evidences. So if the organization or the bank is hiding the information, eventually it will go to the regulator, and there are sanctions attached to it if it comes as a non-disclosed information. So rather than getting into what is available on social media, we should look into the other aspects also. That's my response to this thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Bharat. So, I don't know if you have something to add to that person, to his response, if that's okay.
No, I think he's done well. So, because I know we still have a number of questions, but Bharat is a specialist in that field, so I'll rely on his response.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question is, what information officer can do? Okay, I want to believe is, what information can an officer easily recover from social media account if the organization has been hacked? Sorry, I have to rephrase that question. So I want to believe that he's asking what type of information can they recover if their social media account has been hacked. I would like Ikechukwu, sorry, if you can answer that. Thank you.
The question is a bit confusing. What information can they recover if their social media account has been hacked? Meaning, what information can the hackers get if it's been hacked? So from that perspective,
yes, maybe we can.
So I'll take from two perspectives: what the cyber attackers can get if they hack their social media account, and then how they can recover if their social media account is hacked. So from the first perspective is what you put out there on your social media account, what you post out there, your private chats and the things you post in the world, the hacker can get. But in most cases, the hacker, when they hack a social media account, they want to engage your audience, your forum, your followers, and then trick them into doing things, diverting information, doing things that they wouldn't normally not do, and then kind of social engineer them for that. You see what happened when Twitter accounts were hacked, and then people were asked to pay Bitcoins and all that. Okay, so that's on one side. Then on the other side, where your social media account is hacked, how do you recover? How do you recover? So again, first thing first is always do your risk assessment, meaning plan for this activity. Meaning, once you know that this could happen, you plan what's my playbook when this happens. What should I do? So once it happens, you should initiate your playbook and you execute it. One of the things I recommend is ensure that your accounts are verified. So ensure your accounts are verified. When it's verified, it's easy to recover when your account is hacked. Once it's verified, it's also good to put controls in place to prevent it from being even hacked. So if there's provision for second factor on your account or your corporate account, so corporate social media account, ensure those are put in place. So at least you prevent it from happening. But if it does happen, always go reach out to the provider of the platform. Once you're verified, it's easier to recover your account and then take back control of your account.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope that answers the question. I would like to pick a question from Uche Urodun. How can we ensure that companies don't compromise security measures, especially the government? Ikechukwu, please.
How can we ensure companies don't compromise security measures? So first, there's that requirement for, so there are standards out there that the regulator, so if it's a regulated company, international industry is highly regulated, there are standards and frameworks that have been provided by the regulators that these companies should adhere to ensure that they are secure. There is also the requirement for independent assessment of those companies to ensure that they are compliant to those requirements, those standards. So if the company plays in the payment space, there's always a periodic PCI-DSS assessment. So the QSA comes to assess that all security requirements that relate to the payment card industry is met. If the company, there's also the ISO, if the company also subscribes to ISO 27001, there's a periodic assessment, and there's also an internal and external independent audit of the company's security setup to ensure that it meets those requirements. So there are periodic, there are mechanisms in place to check periodically that the company is meeting those standards. And I just mentioned a few. And once those are done, and then if you want to validate an independent person, is to go and check, does the person have a valid PCI certification current? Does the person have an ISO certification current? Or the person, who are their auditors? Have they been audited? Has there been a vulnerability assessment and pen testing? That's an independent assessment by a security consultant. Has there been one? And then what has the result been like? Those are areas you can check. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So another question. The Security Exchange Commission, SEC, recently released regulation for crypto in Nigeria. Would you say this will encourage increased cybercrime in Nigeria because of this? I'll direct that question to Toby.
Thank you very much. I saw that question and I started laughing. In the fintech space, we call the crypto world a self-regulatory organization on its own. They are SROs on their own. So contrary to what most people from the commercial banks think, there is a huge compliance structure that exists in the notable crypto currencies. And why this is much important is because they have operational modalities. Of course, they may have one or two breaches, as it is with every other organization. Now, SEC coming in to come and bring regulation, the success or failure of the SEC effort will be based on three things. Number one, how educated or enlightened are they about cryptos? If you don't know something, you cannot define how it operates. So the guidelines which the SEC wants to release regarding cryptos, what do they understand about crypto? Number two, how influential will the SEC be in the crypto world? Of course, there is a growing local cryptocurrency environment, but the bulk of cryptos are done globally. The bulk of movements, cash crypto movements, it's not a local currency, it's a global currency. So if the SEC should release a guideline in Nigeria, how will it impact on the guys who are controlling a cryptocurrency that the engine room is in Norway, even though it's done globally? So if the SEC should release the guidelines without taking their influence within that environment into consideration, it will just be a guideline that is issued in, nullity, null and void right from day one. The third and most important thing for me would be how integratable will crypto be into our current payment system, our current payment environment. So I release a guideline. What does my guideline say? Will my guideline integrate the crypto world into our current world? Because what that will do, it will enable those who operate within the crypto world to begin to unmask themselves, because that integration will make them be able to use the crypto as more of a legal tender within the country. So I don't have a full insight. Of course, I am part of the SEC family, so I know that is being done. But I think when the draft comes out, we would all review the draft, we'll give our recommendation to the SEC, These three things are critical. How enlightened are they? Number one, how influential are they within that environment? Then what positives are they bringing into the environment? Are they telling the cryptocurrency world that, see, today you are fully masked in some currencies, you are partially masked in some currencies. Let's integrate you into the payment system. If you're walking into any bank, you'll be able to deposit crypto. If you want to pay for your insurance, you pay with crypto. You want to buy shares, you buy with crypto. Without putting all that in place, if the people don't see the benefits of, coming and unmasking themselves, I'm sorry, the impact of SEC will just lead to more masking of those who are involved in crypto. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toby. So this is a comment. I'll read out the comment, just a comment, not a question. Information/cybersecurity must be embraced by the entire organization. The ESCO must be at the forefront as being the chief information security advisor, as the efforts of cyber management manager is defeated. Thank you very much, Adeni, for your comments. So I'll go to the next question. This is from Chioma. We are in the era of working from home. What are the security risks that this poses for organizations, and how can it be mitigated? That is VPN protection. I would like to direct that to Bharat. I would like to direct that question.
Thank you. As I mentioned into my presentation, that rather than nowadays, when we are looking, in the older days, when we are looking to secure our organizations, the responsibilities have now been, expanded from organizational security, and also include the security of the staff members who are accessing the organization infrastructure from their home. So when you talk about how we can secure, there are certain points which I want to just share it over here. Whether company has a BYOD policy or company is allowing or giving the own asset to the staff to work from home. That is the first decision you need to take. Then apart from this decision, if typically these days I have seen that companies are allowing BYODs, like you work from your own device and the access has been given to the infrastructure within the organizations or the institutions. You need to see whether the operating system has been patched or not. You need to see, is there an antivirus pin over there or not? Whether you are connected on VPN. It's just one of the things that you should always be ensuring that even with the VPN, have you implemented two-factor authentication? Because if your system is already compromised, and I have seen in practical scenarios, if the system is already compromised, the username and password is of no use. So implement multi-factor authentication at different levels. Maybe at the time of connectivity to the VPN, maybe another level when you are going, if your company is allowing a virtual PC, typically virtual PC will give you more security after the VPN connectivity. So look for the virtual PC security, two-factor authentication again at that level itself. And then the end user should be very much aware about his or her own responsibilities when they are connecting to the infrastructure of the company. They should be made aware about if anything goes wrong, where to report, how to report, and whom to report, kind of thing. Also, my thought process on this thing is, from an organization perspective, implement your data protection things like IRM or DLP both. How you can protect the access, or if you have an IRM, implement it onto all of your data points, data subjects, or all the information you have. Define the criticality of your data and implement it on the criticality of the critical data. That's how I'm going to say it will be a bit secured. Obviously, there are multiple controls, but these are the initial level controls. Maybe IK or Toby can add into this thing if based on the environmental changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Toby, do you want to add?
No, I think it's also fine. Clearly, the work from home presents for us larger threats. And I think from my own point of view, most times when the CISO and the IT team meet and the risk team, the fear that cuts across everybody still boils down to the individual. So unlike when people are strictly within the corporate environment, your network rules can apply. When people are strictly within the environment, your monitoring can be more, more in place. When people are within the network also, you can easily even use cameras to detect certain things. So now for us, the major threat is data loss. That's looking at where we sit. The second threat is now the things that relates to phishing, loss of, credentials and all those things. But the data loss is increasingly becoming a big thing. I pity those within the financial services sector, my two other co-speakers, because I imagine the headache they have to pass through every day, trying to make sure, people don't take the data, because the branding challenge when your data is compromised can sink certain companies if not managed properly. So I think the work from home, the major challenge for me is that data breach, which organizations need to put things in place. These are the times where you have to start pushing things like VDIs, virtual desktop infrastructure. Let people not work from clients where you don't have control. Let people work from an environment where you have full control. People should not be able to copy from, using your work from home application, people should not be able to copy from the VDI to their local systems. And let the only loss which can potentially come up be maybe a staff breaching by snapping picture. And an easy way to handle that from VDI platforms would also be to put watermarks so that if a staff takes a picture or a code on every VDI screen, so that if the staff takes a picture, the IT security guys can with the code, which the users may not know, eventually be able to isolate where the breach took place. But these are interesting times. We have no option. It's the new normal. We have to live this way. And I think we just have to see how we balance services and security as time goes on. Thank you.
Thank you, Today.
Thank you.
Oh, Ikechukwu, do you want to add?
Yeah, thank you, Toby. Thank you, Bharat. I think Bharat exhausted most of the things that I wanted to say, and then Toby came up with a very interesting perspective. The watermark thing is very, very interesting, and I like the BDI idea as well, to have a restricted interface for them. I just want to add that work from home for us has been traditionally your people were in the office, and so you had to take care of patching the systems, updating the antivirus, updating the other security agents in-house. They were all connecting to a centralized manager that sits in-house. Now they're working from home and they're using their own Wi-Fi, their own network connection, their own Wi-Fi. And to some extent, you have to then work around how do you ensure that the antivirus is updated, the systems are constantly patched. How do you reposition the system so they can always get updates, policy updates from the center? That's the thing that you should need to work around. So for solutions that they need to redesign your architecture to ensure that you address those concerns, because those PCs, whether they are company owned or staff owned, you have to find a way to ensure the endpoint is secure. Again, if you don't deal with all this headache, then go along with Tobe's idea. Let them all connect to the VDI environment that restricts what they can do. Then they can connect with whatever kind of device they want to connect with. VDI addresses that risk. But if you don't have a VDI in place like this, think about that endpoint. How do you keep it updated in terms of patching, antivirus, and other security solutions like your EDR that may be on the endpoint? Very good time to deploy EDR. This is a very good time for solutions to start embracing, next generation antivirus, EDRs in place for their workstations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ikechukwu. Okay, moving on to the next generation. We have a question on artificial intelligence, AI. So the question is from Adik Tokumbo Bamdele, and he's asked, how do we also merge AI construct into the traditional cybersecurity solutions from a policy and implementation point of view? Okay, we'd like to Ikechukwu, do you have a question answer to that question? Hello, Ikechukwu, you're on mute.
You're muted.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Artificial intelligence, that's a quite new area, and it's been a buzzword. Artificial intelligence, machine learning, and all. How do you implement that? I think it's still we have a lot of solutions today that help us drive that aspect of innovation to security. From a policy perspective, I I think it's something that I don't know how to put it now, but I think it's still a relatively new area. There are some solutions today that have AI embedded, machine learning that help you drive more value, help you drive accuracy in terms of threat detection and all that. But from a policy perspective, I think it's most of this is basically covered in most of the policies that we have already. It's just to enhance efficiency. That's the way I see it. Maybe Bharat can throw some more light on this.
Bharat, you want to say something?
I want to just add, as I can mention, there are new solutions coming up, but I will go back to what just Tobe mentioned, and I will put it into the perspective of AI. And Tobe mentioned that, if a screenshot while you are working remotely, that is one of the things which I would say can be embedded into an artificial intelligence system. If I'm accessing through a VPN, the client should be intelligent enough, whether I'm doing a recording, whether I'm taking a screenshot, and once it has been done, an alert can be sent back to the system. That is one of, the thing which I just correlate with Tobe's thought process here. The thing is, artificial intelligence system is just, for me, is still into a sense that it's still working on some logics. The logics are based on human intelligence. So what we define as a risk, and then the system will automatically learn things. Okay, what are the malicious intents of a user, how things can be done. Can I send it on, for example, if I'm sharing a data on OneDrive for the sake of discussion, and am I forwarding the email to another domain? Can I do that thing? So when I was talking about IRM are now getting more and more sophisticated. In fact, for the sake of discussion, the IRM attach a code to the data itself. As a data owner, I will just say that, okay, this file should not be gone anywhere. And if somehow this file is going, the data rights will go with the file as an embedded code. Once the data has been copied anywhere and connected back to the network, I have the authority to even delete the data wherever the data is present. So there is always a code attached to it. And this is what we are going to have it into artificially intelligent system. Maybe it's a machine learning, the user behaviors, how I'm typing my password on a regular basis. From a security perspective, if I'm typing my password at a speed of 8 letters into 10 seconds, and all of a sudden I'm typing my whole password within 2 seconds, that means there is a script running behind it. So again, it goes back to the user behavioral models, how users are behaving, embedding of things, the security risk from a policy perspective, what I can mention, then from a technical perspective, how we are going to identify things, user behaviors, the patterns of patterns or identification of the activities, and then whether I am who I am, what the new concept is of the zero trust thing. All these things, the zero trust itself will enable you to have a semi-artificial intelligence system in work that I have to verify myself again and again. Even if my system is compromised, that automation of the system will never work. So I'm just giving these examples for things. Thanks, Aikele. Maybe Tobe has another new perspective. I learned this watermark thing again today. That's a fantastic one.
Hey, thanks, Bharat, and thanks, Ikechukwu. I think also, you've answered it. It's now on the application. Maybe because I'm in technology, but I'm from the business side, obviously, because my bonus is paid when we make money. So I think the application becomes more live, and I'm always fighting with our CISO in-house that I need to get certain reports. And the reason why I fight with him a lot is because artificial intelligence, like I think Bharat and Ikechukwu have said, can only be built on, our individually imputed policies as organizations. But the applications which we have started putting into place here in CSCS, let me talk a little bit more practical. Number one is, from the reports which we're getting, we've deployed 2 systems today that help us track things that basically talk on the major threats which we have. One of them recommends things we should do based on trends within the organization. That's one application of artificial intelligence. So from one of the platforms which we deployed, it automatically recommended that there is need to define a data loss protection policy and also put in place a system to track data loss protection. Now, immediately I saw that in the report which I get, which is automated anyway, nobody puts in anything into it. I get the report with a couple of, very few of us in the organization deliberately, because it's AI-based recommendations and you are meant to use them to, be ahead, be proactive in, fighting cyber crimes. So immediately I got the report, all I do was to speak to our CISO and our colleague in risk management, handling IT security, that please, within the next 2 weeks, we need to deploy a full DLP platform. And when we deploy the DLP platform, the same thing that came from the AI recommendation from the platform, we saw it live. The same trend and people who had been compromising us by forwarding mails started showing up on the DLP platform. And so artificial intelligence also picked to say, oh, if these people do this regularly, based on what we have seen globally, which is why it's important, I think someone asked the question on whether you should outsource security or in-source security. Frankly, you need to have a mixture of both. You need to have your security internal, but you need to depend on external trends and global workings of cybersecurity from an external person who has a better oversight to help you define what you do locally. And so based on what is happening globally, one way of shutting down, all this data loss protection by forward and a couple of other things, or, phished mail, credentials lost through this, is to put, two-level authentication on mailing or your messaging platform. All these things are driven by artificial intelligence. So yes, like all the other speakers have said, artificial intelligence is here already to stay. Yes, there are platforms that work on artificial intelligence. I think the biggest headache for organizations is reading through those huge, sometimes the documents are about 30 pages and it comes every week. Going through that 30-page document and picking learnings and case studies and applying them to our organizations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, all speakers, for that insightful answer. But because of time, due to time, we're going to take just one question. And I'll direct the question to Bharat. While he answers, okay, how do we protect legacy systems with software-defined parameter?
Okay, I have a different view about legacy systems as well, because what happens is legacy systems, while they may be vulnerable because of the lack of updated security features. My thought process is, on a legacy system, the efforts will always be less, because legacy system does not work on in every environment. If I have a legacy system, it's a 10-year-old system, just for the sake of discussion, how many malicious users or even internal users will be trying to put their resource and efforts to hack into one legacy system? And I can give an example. Like, the easiest form of getting into things is phishing. From a broad reach perspective, if efforts are less, the reachability of making with the less effort is more. And if I'm targeting a population of maybe 1 million customers, I will at least get data of minimum of 10 users. But in a legacy system, I have to put more resources, more efforts to compromise just one system and what I'm getting out of it. That's just a point of view around it. Having that thought process in mind, I will always say that yes, with the policies and procedure, when you cannot implement it into legacy system, have something into the middleware to have between the legacy system and the outer world. Put your controls onto the middleware. Do not give access directly to the legacy system. Then in that way, whatever is in the middle, you put all your controls over there. You can control at one single point rather than giving proper access to the legacy system, maybe through web page or web app or APIs or whatever you're trying to do, and put all your controls onto the middleware where you have more controls and you can define granular level things on the system which is more updated and in the line of so. I don't know if that answers the question, or my other panelists want to add something.
Yeah, Ikechukwu, what's your own view on this particular questions? We would like to hear from you.
First, I would say let the old dog lie. I would suggest let the old dog lie. If the legacy system, try as much as possible to change it and then move to a better platform. But if there are constraints that where you must retain the legacy system, then part of what I quite subscribe to Barrett's idea of putting a middleware in between where you can then fortify all the security. You can put middleware in between, you can put the WAF solution for the middleware system. Another thing I would also like to do for legacy systems particularly would be to apply some form of lockdown solution. So today we have some antivirus solutions, so endpoint security solutions today in the market that have some form of application control or some form of control that lock down system such that nothing out of the baseline runs on that system. So you can apply those on those legacy systems to kind of reduce the threats. That can work until we then have time to then migrate to newer versions. That's what I would like to add. Thank you.
Thank you. Toby, do you want to share your view while we wrap up? Okay, thank you.
No, I think the two speakers have summarized on that.
Okay, thank you very much. We are very truly sorry we can't take all questions because of time. But thank you everyone for attending. But we are going to go back to the question as into our quiz session. We asked some questions, waiting for some, answers and to share. Whoever gets this gift, I don't know. But before we announce the winners, we have some special announcements here from CSCS. So I would like to call on Mr. Patrick Henry to make this announcement. Mr. Patrick is the head of product development here at CSCS. So we'd like to hand over to Patrick. Patrick.
Hello, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Ogochukwu. Thank you for that. You rightly said we do have a tablet for an announcement. If you just bear with me whilst I share the screen. Right. So, very quickly, not to waste your time, my name is Patrick Henry. I represent the product development division in CSCS. We just want to use this medium to bring to your attention one of our foremost services, as I'm quite sure that most of you are not aware, apart from the fact that CSCS is the foregoing CSD in the Nigerian capital market. However, we also do have certain services that we bring to the fore in the ecosystem, and not just the financial ecosystem. One of those services is our document management systems. If you bear with me, I'll just run through this very quickly. We're going to be talking very briefly about CSCS, looking at our corporate reflection, especially what we've had to cope with during this COVID-19 period. And then we'll go into a document management systems, our value proposition, physical archiving, document management, EDMS, the benefits of the EDMS, how we execute for various clients, how we would intend to execute for your individual companies. And then we will conclude this very quickly. So as you well know, like I mentioned, CSCS is the Central Securities Depository of Nigeria. We have leveraged our existing experiences in 100% dematerialization of share certificates. We've leveraged our experience in performing that feat and taking that into preparing that into a service where we now prefer a complete end-to-end document management service for the Nigerian ecosystem. In that lead, we'll be asking ourselves a couple of questions when it comes to what's happened in this whole COVID-19 period. One of them is the amount of paper that's been used or utilized in our current office spaces, if we have accessibility to the office spaces, which leads us to the number 2 point. How much time does it take for you to actually retrieve or wade through dozens of, both physical and digital documentation? Now, with all that, it also brings to the for the issue of clustering, the issue of losing or misplaced documentation, and also the issue of a disaster. And like we all know, what COVID has shown us, that disasters are not necessarily just environmental, but can actually be more human facing. What we have here is our end-to-end document management system, which is broken down into these 3 modules, as you see on the screen. First of all is our physical archiving, where real quickly I'll take you through in the following slides. Then we have a document digitization, and we end up with a back-end electronic document management system, which more or less is the back-engine workflow repository that handles and manages your electronic documents. Our value proposition, why we bring this service to to the fore here, is one, it assists with regulatory compliance. Like we've talked about a lot about data and data protection, because CSCS obviously is NDPR and GDPR certified. When we handle your data, you can be sure that that we're keeping with regulatory standards. It also assists you in complying with those regulatory standards by having a proper up to standard electronic document management system and procedure in-house. It also assists with backup and disaster recovery, because when you have digitized documents, you obviously have a failover server where you can have access to those documents as well. It allows obviously for convenience for your employees, where they can seamlessly search and research and retrieve documents anywhere at any time they want. It also assists with a paperless workspace. Now, just to hit the nail on the head, when it comes to the physical archiving module, the image you have in front of you, the one on the left, is actually real life physical archive of clients that we've seen, in the Nigerian ecosystem and in Africa, to be quite frank. This is a legacy physical archiving units, as we can see. What we have on the right here is what we prefer to our clients, which include, after the full physical archiving aspect, which includes categorizing, classifying, indexing of your physical documentation. Then it comes to storage of those documents in a state-of-the-art mobile compactor racks. So that's one of the major benefits of our physical archiving layer of this solution. Now, going straight into the third bit, which is the digitizing, we'll take a snippet from the first, which is the preparation and classification. Here, we involve the preparation of your archival room, where we, like I said, we set it up. And when we start talking about setting up, we set it up to a point where, for fire hazard, humidity, everything that makes sure that your documents will last the retention period in which your retention policies, actually internal different policies, state to. Then we now go into sorting the documents, the document preparation itself, categorizing, classifying, declipping, straightening. Sometimes you get into environments where we have to actually bring out the irons and do some laundry and make sure they're straight up prepared for the digitizing and scanning aspect. So that aspect is one of the things that we actually have gained a lot of experience in, the physical preparation and classification aspect of the module. The next bit is the scanning and quality control, where we take all those properly prepared documentation and we take them and digitize them. And this includes obviously the scanning of those documents, indexing of those documents, and proper quality checks to ensure that they are fit for purpose for this phase. Sorry, yes, please.
Sorry, please. We have 1 minute.
No, I'm rounding up in a minute. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then the third bit is documents image import, where we take the digitized documents and we import them into the electronic document management server. Now, our EDMS server, which we use, is M-Files, which is Gartner rated as one of the best repository or document management repositories in the ecosystem at the moment, and has the following features, which are like user authorization, workflow management, a powerful search tool, easy accessibility to files via various platforms, easy integration and easy integration with other systems and applications, and also is hybrid, which means it can be on-premise or on cloud or both. mFiles, as you find out when in due course, supports with all your business processes, with asset management, contract, project, HR, and all the likes, and actually has a workflow module that maps, all your existing processes to your document management system. Again, just to round up a bit of the benefits, improved document security, easy access to documents, increased and better collaboration and workflow, and obviously reduced storage space by the provision of our mobile application racks. On the default, our normal approach is to come into your organization and we look into contract consideration, do a document evaluation and scope. From there, we can ascertain what the commercial is and then the contract award, and then we go into a full-blown project implementation. On the screen here are some of the clients that we've implemented for, and not limited to this subset. You can see we have like conduct bureaus, so federal government agencies, private, educational, the discos, governments, and even in the financial sector. So we do have experience across a range of sectors here. Thank you. We'll take any questions if there are any.
Thank you. Thank you, Patrick. Patrick is available for questions. You can send any questions to us anytime. Thank you very much, Patrick. So moving on to the quiz, I will, and the answers. The first question, which of these is a way to detect a phishing email? The first option was clicking the email. Second, hovering over the email, and the last, opening the attachment. So the answer is the second option, hovering over the link. Second question, no one should ask for my password except IT. True or false? That was a tricky one. False. The answer is false. No one is expected to ask for your IT, for your password, even IT. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for participating. We would like to call on Isioma, the Acting Chief Risk Officer here at CSCS. She will be announcing the winners, so please, everyone should hold on. And of course, she'll be making the closing remarks. Thank you, everyone, for taking your time, attending and staying with us. Thank you. Isioma.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you for spending your morning with us. We're very pleased that you were able to join us. I'm sure you enjoyed yourself. I certainly did. I learned some scary statistics, but all hope is not lost because awareness is key. And that's why we're having this seminar today. Once people are aware, we'll be able to win the crime against cybersecurity theft or risks. So let me just say a little thing I learned today. Even though I'm a security person, I still picked up one or two things thanks to our excellent panelists. So I learned that, before I really knew that staff were the weakest link. Today I learned that they were the solution. When you think about it really, the link can be the solution. I picked that up. So yes, the onus is on all of us to put hands together to ensure that we are safe. Another thing I learned, I used to think VPN was safe, the all in all. Now I know that you should also add two-factor authentication to that VPN. Let's not just say we have VPN or we are secure. We should fortify with other things as well. And then, of course, regular training. So not that you do one or two trainings in your organization and you think you're okay. The training must continue. So typically this seminar we do once a year. And of course, thanks to COVID, we are now doing this virtually. Otherwise, we would have been together in a hall having this seminar. But it's okay. That's all part of our new normal. So I just want to thank you. I picked up a lot of things. I hope you did too. And I hope that next time when we call for this seminar, you will join us. It was a very enlightening time. I learned that now that everybody is doing BYOD, we need to be more careful. So quickly, we have launched a poll on how did you rate this seminar? Was it useful to you? What did you learn from it? Please help us answer, and then we can take the suggestion how to make this engagement better next time. Okay, so the winners, while the poll is going on, the fastest fingers, 1 second. The fastest finger is Tosin Ado and Emmanuel Akeni. So yes, we have prizes for you. We'll contact you because we have your email address. And should we share what the prizes are, or we should keep it a secret? Information security, we'll tell you the price, but you'll be surprised because we'll reach out to you in your email we had when you registered for this forum. Thank you very much. So we'll take the answers from the poll, because one of the answers was, how often do you want this? I can see in the comments people saying yes, they got a lot. We'll check how the frequency, whatever you say, we'll see what we'll do about it. Thank you so much. We had such a great time. Thank you for your morning. Thank you for joining us. Our excellent panelists, we learned a lot from your wealth of experience. We hope when we call again, you will answer us. Thank you, everyone. Have a lovely day. Thank you. Stay safe.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining.
Thank
and
you,
thanks
everyone.
Barat, and thanks Ikechukwu too.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. And do have a blessed day. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.